The world is designed in such a way that there are predators and there is prey. You become prey not because you are weak, but because you make predictable mistakes. These are not subtle tells discernible only to the highly trained. They are fundamental errors in behavior broadcasted with such clarity that they signal your vulnerability to everyone you encounter. These 7 mistakes are invitations. They tell others that you are a resource to be managed, a will to be bent, an asset to be leveraged for another's gain. They are the unconscious confessions that strip you of your power before you have even spoken a complete sentence. They betray you instantly. They make you easy to read, easy to influence, and ultimately easy to break. This is not a matter of morality. It is a matter of mechanics. These are the hidden laws of the human world. Every human interaction is a negotiation for influence. From the moment you enter a room, you are being assessed. Every word, every gesture, every silence is a test. People are constantly probing for the boundaries of your will, the depth of your conviction, and the location of your weaknesses. This is not a conscious, malicious process for most. It is an instinct, an ancient, ingrained drive to establish a hierarchy, to understand who holds sway and who submits. The majority of people fail these tests within the first minutes of communication. They offer up their vulnerabilities without being asked, revealing the very levers that can be used to control them. These mistakes, these 7 critical failures of personal sovereignty, do not just make you appear weak, they make you an ideal target. They are a blueprint for your own manipulation, handed freely to anyone with the perception to read it. A person who commits these errors becomes a predictable quantity, and in the world of power, predictability is synonymous with defeat. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this with absolute clarity. He wrote, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions." This is the foundational truth. People are not complex enigmas. They are creatures of impulse, driven by immediate emotional needs. The need for approval, the need for comfort, the need for validation, the fear of conflict, the fear of silence. A manipulator does not need an elaborate strategy. They only need to observe which of these immediate needs governs you. Once they know what you want in the moment, they know how to control your actions in the long term. Your own feelings become the chain, and your need to satisfy them becomes the lock. Mistake number 1, the voluntary confession. This is the act of offering unsolicited information about your weaknesses, your anxieties, or your personal failures. It is the most common and the most disarming mistake. You believe you are building rapport, creating intimacy, or showing humility. You think you are being authentic. What you are actually doing is relinquishing your weapons and handing your opponent a map of your undefended territories. Consider the job interview. The candidate, wanting to appear self-aware, mentions a past project that failed because of their own disorganization. They believe this shows honesty and a capacity for growth. The interviewer, however, does not see humility. They see a specific, exploitable weakness. They now know this person can be overwhelmed. They know that applying pressure to deadlines or introducing chaotic variables will cause this person's performance to degrade. They have learned how to deconstruct you. In a social setting, you confess a deep-seated insecurity about your public speaking skills to a new acquaintance. You do this seeking reassurance. Instead, you have just informed this person that you can be easily intimidated in a group. You have told them that to dominate you, they simply need to put you on the spot, to turn the group's attention toward you and wait for you to falter. You have given them the tool of your own social demise. Personal information is not a gift, it is leverage. Your struggles, your doubts, your past mistakes, these are sources of power, your power. When you share them indiscriminately, you are not creating a connection. You are distributing the means of your own subjugation. You are telling predators exactly where to strike. The strong do not reveal their vulnerabilities. They may acknowledge them privately, work on them relentlessly, but they never offer them up for public consumption. They understand that the perception of strength is in itself a formidable defense. Your personal history is yours. Keep it that way. Mistake number 2, the fear of silence. Silence is a vacuum of power. The person who rushes to fill it is the one who relinquishes control. Watch any negotiation, any confrontation, any simple conversation. When a pause extends for more than a few seconds, one person will invariably become uncomfortable. This discomfort is a manifestation of anxiety, a need for the situation to be resolved, a fear of the unknown judgment hanging in the air. The person who breaks the silence is the one who is more desperate for a resolution. They are the one who will concede a point, offer information, or lower their demands, simply to alleviate the pressure of the quiet. This mistake reveals a profound lack of internal composure. It signals that your emotional state is dependent on external validation and forward momentum. You cannot simply exist in a moment of stillness. You must fill it with noise, with words, with anything to distract from the tension. A person who understands power will use silence as a tool. They will ask a question and then wait. They will let you talk, and you will. You will talk past the point of a sufficient answer. You will begin to justify yourself. You will elaborate, speculate, and eventually you will reveal things you had no intention of revealing. You will negotiate against yourself, giving up ground just to make the quiet stop. A person comfortable with silence appears confident. Their stillness communicates that they are in no rush. They are not anxious. They are in control of their own emotional state and are therefore in control of the interaction. They create a pressure field with their lack of response, forcing you to react. By simply remaining quiet, they make you do all the work. You expose your strategy, your needs, and your limits. The inability to withstand a simple pause is a confession of internal weakness. It tells an observer that you can be easily flustered and that your decisions can be manipulated by applying simple temporal pressure. Learn to be still. Learn to hold your tongue. Master the pause, and you will master the conversation. Write in the comments if you've seen this mistake from other people. Machiavelli also observed the mechanics of obligation and resentment. He stated, "He who believes that new benefits will cause great personages to forget old injuries is deceived." The meaning is direct. You cannot erase a past injury with a present favor. People's memories of being wronged are far more potent and lasting than their gratitude for a gift. Attempting to buy back goodwill or to paper over a past conflict with generosity is a fool's errand. The original slight remains, a permanent stain on the relationship. The new benefit is seen not as a genuine act of kindness, but as a transaction, a payment, a sign of your own guilt or weakness. This understanding is critical to navigating the world of influence. Mistake number 3. The compulsion to explain yourself. This is the reflexive need to justify your decisions, your actions, and your beliefs, especially when they are not challenged. It stems from a deep-seated desire for approval. You believe that if others understand your reasoning, they will validate your choices. This is a grave error. It places the final authority on your life in the hands of others. It makes their opinion the judge and jury of your actions. When you make a decision, it should be sufficient that you have made it. When you state a boundary, it should be enough that you have stated it. The moment you begin to over-explain, "I can't attend the meeting because I have this other appointment that came up, and it's really important for this other project, and I wouldn't miss it otherwise," you see? You are weakening your own position. The simple, firm statement, "I am unavailable at that time," is a declaration of power. It is final. It is non-negotiable. The lengthy explanation, however, is an invitation to negotiate. It provides multiple points of attack. The other person can now question the importance of your other appointment. They can try to reschedule it. They can pick apart your logic. You have turned a firm boundary into a soft suggestion. You have signaled that your decisions are not absolute, but are contingent on the approval and understanding of others. Predators and manipulators thrive on this. They will feign confusion or disagreement specifically to provoke an explanation from you. They know that the more you talk, the more you reveal. You expose your priorities, your anxieties, and the internal calculus you use to make choices. This information is invaluable. It allows them to frame future requests in a way that preempts your objections. It allows them to make you feel unreasonable or selfish for not complying. Stop justifying your existence. Your decisions are your own. Your time is your own. Your beliefs are your own. State your position clearly, calmly, and without excessive adornment. If someone challenges you, you can choose to engage, but you are not obligated to. Often, the most powerful response is to simply restate your position or to meet their challenge with silence. The need to be understood is a vulnerability. The act of simply being is a strength. If you find out this mistake in others, please like it so that others can see it. Mistake number 4, the display of uncontrolled emotion. Emotion is a source of immense energy. Channeled, it can fuel great achievements. Uncontrolled, it is a catastrophic liability. A public outburst of anger, a visible display of paralyzing fear, a fit of weeping in a professional setting, these are not signs of authenticity. They are signs that you are not in command of yourself. If you cannot control your own internal state, you signal to everyone that you can be controlled by external events. You become a pawn of circumstance and a tool for anyone who knows which emotional buttons to press. The person who flies into a rage when challenged reveals that their ego is fragile. They show that a simple contradiction can shatter their composure. From that moment on, anyone wishing to disrupt or discredit them knows exactly what to do. Provoke them, question their authority, subtly insult their intelligence, and watch them self-destruct. Their own anger becomes the weapon used against them. Similarly, the person who shows overt fear when faced with pressure or uncertainty broadcasts their breaking point. They tell their superiors, their competitors, and their subordinates that they cannot be relied upon in a crisis. They will be passed over for promotion. They will be seen as the weak link in a team, and they will be the first target when a predator needs to create chaos or force a concession. Even positive emotions, when displayed without restraint, can be a weakness. Exuberant, naive optimism can signal a lack of critical thinking and an unfamiliarity with risk. It makes you appear gullible, a person who can be sold on a fantasy. True power lies in emotional discipline. This does not mean being a cold, unfeeling machine. It means choosing when and where to express emotion. It is the ability to feel intense anger, but to respond with cold, calculated precision. It is the ability to feel fear, but to act with deliberate courage. It is the ability to feel joy, but to maintain a strategic perspective. Your emotions are for you. They should inform your decisions, not dictate your actions. When you master your emotional responses, you become unreadable. You become unpredictable. You cease to be an open book for others to manipulate and instead become the author of your own story. An emotional outburst is a confession of impotence. Emotional discipline is a declaration of sovereignty. Machiavelli's counsel on appearances is severe and pragmatic. He wrote, "It is not necessary for a prince to have all the good qualities I have enumerated, but it is very necessary to appear to have them." The lesson is not to be a hypocrite. The lesson is that the world reacts not to who you are, but to who they perceive you to be. Your internal virtues are irrelevant if your external behavior signals weakness. You can be the most loyal person in the world, but if you appear flighty and unreliable, you will be treated as such. You can be brilliant, but if you cannot articulate your thoughts with confidence, you will be perceived as mediocre. Power is a game of appearances. You must seem to be in control, you must seem to be confident, you must seem to be decisive, even in moments of internal doubt. The appearance of strength creates a reality of strength as others begin to treat you accordingly. Mistake number 5, the inability to say no. This is the disease of the people pleaser. The inability to decline a request, to set a boundary, to refuse an imposition. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you are committing a small act of self-betrayal. These small acts accumulate, eroding your self-respect and broadcasting to the world that your time, your energy, and your resources are available for public consumption. This behavior does not earn you love or respect. It earns you contempt. People do not respect a doormat. They use it. The more you give, the more will be expected. Your constant agreeableness is not seen as kindness. It is seen as a lack of conviction. It signals that you value the approval of others more than your own well-being and your own agenda. You become the go-to person for undesirable tasks, for last-minute emergencies, for taking on the burdens that others are strong enough to refuse. Saying no is a fundamental declaration of self-worth. It states that you have priorities, that your time is valuable, and that you are the ultimate authority over your own life. A simple, firm no, delivered without apology or elaborate justification, is one of the most powerful statements a person can make. It immediately establishes a boundary and commands respect. The person who cannot say no lives a life dictated by the whims of others. Their schedule is not their own. Their goals are perpetually deferred. They live in a state of quiet resentment, frustrated by their own inability to protect themselves. This frustration is palpable. Others sense it, and it further diminishes their respect for you. They see you not as a generous soul, but as a weak-willed individual who can be easily exploited. Your desire to be liked makes you fundamentally unlikable to those with power. They are not looking for friends, they are looking for effective instruments. A person who cannot say no is a blunt, unreliable instrument, prone to breaking under the weight of the tasks they should never have accepted. Learn the power of the negative. It is the foundation of a sovereign life. Write in the comments which of these mistakes seems to you the most dangerous. Mistake number 6, seeking credit and recognition. The hunger for external validation is a profound weakness. It is the need to have your contributions acknowledged, your intelligence praised, your hard work celebrated. This desire places your sense of accomplishment in the hands of others. It makes you dependent on their applause. A person driven by the need for credit is easy to manipulate. You can control them by giving or withholding praise. Offer them a title and they will work for less pay. Put their name on a project and they will shoulder an unfair burden. They are so focused on the reward of recognition that they fail to see the true cost of their labor. The powerful understand this. They will often allow others to take credit for minor victories, knowing that the desire for the spotlight makes a person predictable and short-sighted. True power operates quietly. It is more concerned with the result than with the credit for the result. A truly influential person is often content to operate from the shadows, to guide events without their hand being seen. They know that credit invites scrutiny. It invites jealousy. It makes you a target. The person whose name is on everyone's lips is also the first person to be blamed when things go wrong. When you complete a task successfully, the success itself is your reward. The competence you have demonstrated, the result you have achieved, that is the source of your power. The need for someone else to pat you on the back is a sign of childish insecurity. It tells the world that your own judgment of your work is insufficient. Furthermore, by constantly seeking credit, you create resentment among your peers and even your subordinates. You appear to be a glory hog, more interested in your own image than in the success of the team or the organization. This isolates you. A person who lets others share the credit, or even take it entirely, builds immense loyalty and goodwill. They are seen as a generous leader, a confident operator who is not needy for praise. This quiet confidence is far more intimidating and respectable than the loud clamoring for recognition. Do good work. Let the results speak for themselves. Detach your ego from the outcome. The need for applause makes you a performer, and performers are always at the mercy of their audience. Mistake number 7, neglecting the currency of power. This is the final and most severe mistake. It is the failure to understand what constitutes true influence in the human world. People who are easy prey believe that power comes from being liked, from being morally right, from working hard, or from having good intentions. These things are pleasant, but they are not the currency of power. The true currency of power is control over resources and outcomes. Resources are not just money. A resource is anything that others want or need. It can be information, access to influential people, a specific skill, the ability to grant or withhold opportunities, or even the control over a narrative. The person who is liked but has no control over any resources is a pleasant companion, but they are not powerful. They have no leverage. The person who may be disliked but controls the budget, the flow of information, or the path to promotion is the one who holds true power. People will feign respect and friendship for them, not because they like them, but because they need what they control. Outcomes are the second pillar. Power is the ability to make things happen. It is the capacity to execute a plan, to overcome obstacles, and to deliver a desired result. A person of good intentions who consistently fails to achieve their goals is powerless. Their intentions are worthless. A person who may be ruthless but can guarantee a victory, secure a contract, or eliminate a threat is powerful. Their ability to affect outcomes is what gives them influence. Becoming easy prey is the result of focusing on the wrong metrics. You spend your energy trying to be liked instead of acquiring a unique, valuable skill. You argue about what is morally right instead of maneuvering to control the narrative. You work hard on tasks assigned to you instead of positioning yourself to be the one who assigns the tasks. This is not a call to be malevolent, it is a call to be effective. To stop being prey, you must stop thinking like prey. You must stop believing in the comforting fictions of the world and start observing the actual mechanics of its operation. Accumulate resources. Develop the ability to affect outcomes. This is how you build a fortress of personal power. Everything else, respect, admiration, even a certain kind of fearful affection, will follow not because you asked for it, but because you command it. Neglecting this reality is the ultimate mistake. It is the choice to remain a piece on the board, rather than becoming a player. I remember watching a junior executive, a young man named Arthur, in a series of board meetings. He was intelligent, eager, and pathologically open. During a high-stakes project review, a senior vice president posed a difficult question about a potential budget overrun. Instead of a concise, confident answer, Arthur began to confess. He detailed his own anxieties about the numbers. He mentioned his sleepless nights. He explained in granular detail every minor misstep the team had made. He was not asked for this confession. He volunteered it, hoping his transparency would be seen as honesty. I watched the vice president's face. It remained a mask of placid interest. He did not interrupt. He simply let Arthur talk. He let him unravel. With every word, Arthur was diminishing his own authority, transforming from a project lead into a frightened subordinate seeking absolution. He filled the silence with a complete catalog of his own weaknesses. When he was finally finished, breathless and exposed, the vice president paused for a long moment. Then he said, simply, "Thank you, Arthur. I have what I need." In that moment, Arthur ceased to be a future leader. He became a manageable risk. His mistake was not the budget overrun. It was the voluntary confession. He had become easy prey. The final truth, as Machiavelli knew, is a hard one. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. This does not mean you must be a tyrant. It means that respect born of fear, fear of your competence, fear of your resolve, fear of your ability to act decisively, is a more reliable foundation for power than the fickle affection of others. Love is conditional and easily withdrawn. The respect that comes from being a formidable presence is permanent. When you stop making these 7 mistakes, a transformation occurs. You cease to be a predictable quantity. You become harder to manage, harder to deceive, harder to manipulate. People's casual disrespect begins to evaporate, replaced by a new kind of attention. They listen more carefully when you speak. They hesitate before making demands on your time. They treat your boundaries not as suggestions, but as walls. You find yourself in control of situations that once controlled you. Your confidence is no longer a performance, it is a fundamental state of being, born from the knowledge that you are the sole governor of your own life. You are no longer prey, waiting to be chosen. You are a predator in your own right, not of people, but of opportunities. You become stronger, not because the world has changed, but because you have finally chosen to understand its unwritten laws and to use them for your own sovereignty. If you agree that these mistakes make a person easy prey, write "I see" in the comments, like and subscribe so as not to miss the main thing. Chapter 2. You have seen how Arthur, the junior executive, willingly placed his own head on the chopping block. You saw how his confession, born of a desire for connection and understanding, was not received as a moment of human vulnerability, but as a broadcast of manageable risk. He made himself legible, and in the unforgiving calculus of power, to be legible is to be conquered. This was his first mistake. It will not be your last. The anatomy of the prey is written in a language of predictable reactions. These reactions are not grand, dramatic gestures. They are subtle, almost invisible flinches of the psyche. They are the unconscious confessions that strip you of your power before you have even spoken a complete sentence. They betray you instantly. Let us deconstruct the next mechanism of your subjugation. Mistake number 2. The fear of silence. Observe a negotiation. Observe a difficult conversation. Observe any moment where the stakes are elevated. You will notice that the space between words is not empty. It is a battlefield. Silence is the terrain upon which the war for control is waged, and your fear of it is the enemy's most effective weapon. You believe silence is a vacuum, an awkward void that signals disapproval, confusion, or anger. Your social conditioning screams at you to fill it. You rush in with clarifications, with concessions, with nervous chatter. You do this because you are desperate for feedback, for a signal that you are still approved of, that the connection is not broken. This desperation is a scent, and the predator smells it from a mile away. To the master of human dynamics, silence is not a vacuum. It is a pressure chamber. When they deploy it, they are not being passive. They are actively applying force. They are watching you. They are testing your resolve. They are waiting for you to break, and you almost always do. You mistake their tactical pause for a personal rejection, and in your haste to repair the imagined damage, you give away the entire kingdom. I once watched a candidate, let's call her Maria, interview for a senior marketing role. She was brilliant, qualified, and articulate. She answered a difficult question about a past project failure with poise. Then, the interviewer, a seasoned predator who understood these mechanics, simply nodded slowly and remained silent. He looked at her, his expression perfectly neutral, for 5 seconds. Then 10. For Maria, 10 seconds of silence in that high-stakes environment felt like an eternity. The silence was an accusation. It was a judgment. Her mind raced. Did I say the wrong thing? Was my answer not good enough? He thinks I'm a failure. She broke. And, it was a learning experience, she stammered, rushing to fill the void he had created. We actually implemented a new review process afterward, so in a way, it was a net positive. I learned so much about team dynamics, which I think is a real strength of mine now. She kept talking. For nearly a full minute, she single-handedly dismantled the powerful, confident answer she had just given. She projected insecurity. She revealed her desperate need for his approval. She turned a position of strength into a plea for validation. The interviewer didn't have to say a word. He simply let her own fear of silence defeat her. She had answered his unspoken question. How do you react under pressure? Her answer was, poorly. She did not get the job. The world does not reward those who are eager to speak. It rewards those who are comfortable with the weight of a pause. The person who can endure the silence is the person who controls the frame of the interaction. They force the other party to reveal their hand. Your discomfort is their intelligence-gathering tool. Embrace silence as a fortress. When you have made your point, stop talking. When you have asked a question, wait for the answer, no matter how long it takes. When you state your price, let the number hang in the air, heavy and immovable. Let the other person be the one to grow uncomfortable. Let them be the one to rush in with concessions and qualifications. You must re-engineer your instincts. Silence is not rejection. It is leverage. It is not awkwardness. It is command. Machiavelli never wrote about conversational pauses, but he understood the immense power of appearing resolute and unreadable. He knew that a leader's strength is often perceived in what they do not do, in the actions they withhold. In your world, that begins with mastering the art of saying nothing at all. As he noted, fear is a more reliable motivator than affection. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Your ability to command a silence, to be comfortable within it, creates a subtle unease in others. It is not overt intimidation, but a quiet signal of unshakable self-possession. They will not love you for it, but they will respect you. And respect is a far more durable currency than affection. If you understand that silence is a weapon, not a weakness, write "I command the silence" in the comments. Like and subscribe because the next mistake is even more insidious. Mistake number 3, the compulsion to explain. This mistake is the close cousin of the fear of silence. It is born from the same root, a desperate need for the world to approve of your decisions. You believe that the validity of your choice rests on the quality of your explanation. This is a fatal miscalculation. When you make a decision and then immediately launch into a long-winded justification, you are not solidifying your authority. You are telegraphing your own uncertainty. You are handing your opponent a toolkit to dismantle your resolve. A decision, stated simply and without adornment, is a wall. It is a fact. I cannot attend that meeting. The deadline is Friday. No, these are statements of power. They are sovereign. An explanation transforms that wall into a negotiation. Every reason you provide is a potential point of attack. It is a handle for the other person to grasp. Imagine you are a manager and you deny an employee's request for an extension on a project. The weak response, the praise response, is, "No, I can't give you an extension because the client is expecting the report on Monday, and the executive team needs to review it before the quarterly meeting, plus we don't have the budget for overtime this month." What have you just done? You have not reinforced your no. You have presented 3 variables for negotiation.
The client. What if I speak to the client and see if they're flexible? The executive team. Can we send them a preliminary draft and the final version later? The budget. I'm willing to work over the weekend without logging overtime. Your firm no has dissolved into a debate. You turned a declaration into an invitation. You relinquished your authority in a misguided attempt to be seen as reasonable. The predator does not hear your reasons. They hear your insecurity. They see a blueprint for your own manipulation. The powerful response is simply, "No, that won't be possible." The silence that follows is the test. The employee may be uncomfortable. They may push. But why? This is the critical moment. The prey explains. The sovereign individual holds the line. The deadline is firm. You do not owe the world an explanation for your sovereign decisions. Justification is a performance for those who seek approval. The need to be understood is a vulnerability, and it is ruthlessly exploited by those who recognize it. They will feign confusion and concern, asking you to help them understand your reasoning, not because they seek clarity, but because they seek an opening. They know that as you start to explain, you start to concede. The more you talk, the weaker your position becomes. Your own words become the chain used to bind you. The world is governed by outcomes, not intentions. Your desire to be seen as fair, logical, and transparent is irrelevant to the mechanics of power. A decision gains its strength not from the reasons behind it, but from the conviction with which it is delivered. Explanations are for subordinates. They are for those seeking permission. They are not for those who command. Machiavelli understood that the masses are swayed by simple, immediate realities, not by complex justifications. A leader who constantly explains himself is seen as weak, indecisive, and lacking the innate authority to rule. His power is conditional, subject to the approval of those he leads. This is the path to ruin. Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions. Your immediate need is to be seen as reasonable. It is the need to have your logic validated. The predator understands this need and uses it against you, deceiving you into believing that a conversation about your reasons is a collaborative effort. It is not. It is an interrogation designed to find the cracks in your fortress. Stop explaining. State your decision. Hold the line. Let your no be a complete sentence. Let your yes be a gift, not a foregone conclusion. Reclaim the power you give away with every unnecessary word you speak. You will be feared a little more, and you will be respected infinitely more for it. You will cease to be a victim of your own deceptions.